Good afternoon and welcome to this week's installment of Musical Moments. I know that some of you have been waiting, and here I am, a little bit late. We've had a busy day today at the office, but all good things, always good things. And so there's joy and there's peace abounding today and sunlight coming in behind me. My curtains fell last week, and I haven't put them up yet because the sun is coming in. But when it gets really windy, it blows in here, so that's why I have curtains up. But the sunlight is streaming in, as you can tell. Later today, this window will light up as the sun falls that way. This is a great place to be in the evening, afternoon and evening. In the mornings, sanctuary. In the evenings, here. So, today, today we are talking about the Methodists and Guest. So this week, the Lutheran Church commemorated three great people. First is George Herbert, who was a poet and has some great poetry to his name. And the second two people are the Wesley Brothers, John Wesley and Charles Wesley, who started the Methodist Church. So in the Lutheran tradition, our Lutheran tradition, we commemorate specific people, and there's a list of 95 of them. However, you can add people to that list as you go along. So we could add somebody like Mother Teresa to that list and have a commemoration for her on a specific day. These are just people that we look up to that have done something important in the life of the church. And it doesn't only have to be in the ELCA. It can be across the spectrum of the faith, of our Christian beliefs. And even then, not only Christians. So we have these three great people today and hymns and texts that are associated with them. So let's get started with George Herbert. We only have one hymn text in our hymnal attributed to George, so we're going to just get our guest out of the way first and foremost. So George Herbert, it was born is commemorated on March 1st, and was Monday. That was Monday, just a few days ago. He was born in 1593 and then sadly died of consumption or tuberculosis in 1633. He was born in Wales, educated at Westminster School and then Trinity College in Cambridge. He played the lute and the viol and also sang in the choir there. And then beginning in 1619, and then for a period of 8 years after that, he was the public orator for Cambridge because of his poetic abilities. His poems are astounding and have beautiful, beautiful text. He was ordained as an Anglican priest, and then shortly after becoming ordained, had different parishes, and then finally died of TB, of consumption in life. So the hymn we have in our hymnal is "Come My Way, My Truth, My Life." It is the call. It is a text that a number of people have set to music, including Ralph Vaughan Williams, who was an English writer, didn't necessarily write hymns per se, transcribed a lot of English folk music. We have a great setting of this text in our choral library for use on Easter or other grand occasions. So this is one of Herbert's poems from a series called The Temple, one of his greatest works of poetry. It was published first as a hymn 3 centuries after its writing in 1908. The verses all come from a set of scriptures. So the first verse is John 14:6, when we have the I am verses, I am the way and the truth and the life. The second verse is about Eucharist, and it uses John 2:10, which is the wedding at Cana. And then the third verse is from 1 Corinthians 13, the love, the verse on love, which I had in my mind, and now I'm forgetting. If you can remember it, hopefully you can remember it, because my mind is drawing a complete blank at the moment. And I don't think Pastor Catherine is watching at the moment, so she can't comment at the bottom. It's the series of verses of the greatest of these is love. That's what I'm thinking of, from 1 Corinthians chapter 13. So here we have Herbert's words with music by Ralph Vaughan Williams. It is Come My Way, My Truth, My Life. Come my way, my truth, my life, such a light as gives us breath, such a truth as ends all strife, such a life as killeth death. Come my light, my feast, my strength, such a light as shows a feast, such a feast as mends in length, such a strength as makes his guest. Come my joy, my love, my heart, such a joy as none can move, such a love as none can part, such a heart as joys in love. So there we have our guest's poetry, Come My Way, My Truth, and My Life. And so we get now to the main event, the Wesley Brothers. John Wesley is the older brother, and then we have Charles Wesley. There is also a third Wesley, third and fourth. The Wesley brothers' father, Samuel Wesley, was also an Anglican priest, but he was not a hymn writer. He wasn't a founder of the Methodist movement. He helped foster that in the boys. And then we have Sebastian Wesley, who is Charles' grandson. Samuel was named after his father, and Sebastian is after Johann Sebastian Bach, who was one of their favorite composers. So, John Wesley, born in 1703 and then died in 1791. He did marry for a short period of time, even though he did not want to. Sadly, that ended because he was too busy with church and believed in the idea of celibate clergy. And he really clung to that all of his life. And so he went into marriage not really wanting to be married. And sadly, that ended after a period of time. He is a leader of the revivalist movement in the Church of England, known as Methodism or the Methodists, because of the methodical way in which they carried out their faith. John and Charles had a group at the college they attended. They used to be called Holy Ones. I think that's what it was called. Or the Holy Club or something like that. And people would make fun of them all of the time. And they would say, they're so methodical in their Bible studies, and the way they write, and the way that they orate all of their things. It's so methodical. And so hence the name Methodists, because they're methodical in what they do. John Wesley has 2 birthdays. Because he was born at the time when they were transitioning from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar. So John has 2 birthdays. John and his brother Charles came to the United States for a period of time in 1735. They came to Savannah, Georgia, which is where there is a statue of John Wesley still standing today. but he left in 1737. Again, he came expecting to convert and to evangelize among the Indians, the American Indians, and the Native Americans is a better way of putting that. He came to evangelize among the Native Americans, and he didn't get to do that. He had to minister to the colonists, and that just caused big problems there. And so there were problems with another lady person, and so he ended up leaving in the middle of the night to go back to England. During this time, his coming over to England, the ship that he was on, the mast broke, and he comments that, the English were all just all stressed out and scared, but the Moravians were fine. They were calm, they prayed, and they sang, and life was okay for them, and that started an intrigue to him, and so he was greatly influenced by the Moravians and their faith and their pietism. And then we have Charles Wesley, who is the younger brother of John. And Charles Wesley is the hymn writer. He is the one that wrote all the music for this Methodist movement. 6,500 hymns to be exact. And he is the grandfather of Sebastian Wesley, who himself is a great composer and a great musician. Charles is the 18th child in his family. He was born in 1708, and here it is. He formed the Holy Club at the college with his brother. So we have the two Wesley brothers. We have John, who is the minister, who is the leader of it all. Charles, who is also a minister in the Anglican Church, but a hymn writer, more prolific for his hymn writing. And Charles did get married, as you well know, because he has grandchildren. So there we have it. We have our Methodists here. Our first hymn is number 254 in our hymnal. It is generally associated with Wesley. It's in a book of anonymous hymns that we have. But in our hymnal, it stands exactly as Wesley originally wrote it. And it's a hymn for the Nativity of our Lord. And this hymn is "Come Thou Long Expected Jesus." Come thou long expected Jesus, born to set thy people free. From our fears and sins release us, let us find our rest in thee. His royal strength and consolation, hope of all the earth thou art, dear desire of every nation, joy of every longing heart. Born thy people to deliver, born a child and yet a king, born to reign in us forever, now thy gracious kingdom bring. By thine own eternal Spirit, rule in all our hearts alone. By thine all-sufficient merit, raise us to thy glorious throne. A great hymn for Advent and the coming of Christ. We're going to skip over Christmas because we had Christmas a little while ago. So we're not going to look at Wesley's hymn for Christmas, otherwise known as "Hark the Herald Angels Sing," which has some interesting text changes there, but we're not going to look at that. You can look that up yourself if you so desire. Moving right along, we're going to move into Easter, and I'm choosing to do this hymn because it leaves out this version, of this text leaves out the all-important word that we put away a number of weeks ago on Transfiguration Sunday. It begins with an A and ends with Yah. So we're doing this text because this version does not have that word in it. There are 3 other hymns in our hymnal that have this same text, that have that A word in it. But we can't sing it right now. So here is this text: "Christ the Lord is risen today." It originally contained 11 stanzas. 11! You would think that he was Martin Luther because, as you know, Martin Luther, like me, was long-winded. And for his 10 Commandments hymn, wrote something like 12 or 13 verses for 10 Commandments. Anyway, so we have, in the ELW, we have original verses 1 through 4, and then verses 10 and 11. John Wesley, Charles' brother, never used this hymn in his publications. So, there was obviously a little bit of brotherly love there that they didn't always see eye to eye. So here we have Wesley's text, Christ the Lord is risen today. Christ the Lord is risen today. All on earth with angels say, praise your joys and triumphs high. Sing, O heavens and earth reply. Love's redeeming work is done. Fought the fight, the battle won. Lo, the sun's eclipse is o'er. Lo, he sets in blood no more. Vain the stone, the watch, the seal. Christ has burst the gates of hell. Death in vain forbids us rise. Christ has opened paradise. Lives again our glorious King. Where, O death, is now your sting? Once he died our souls to save. Where, O victory, O grave? Hail, the Lord of earth and heaven. Praise to thee, both thee we give. Thee we greet triumphant now. Hail the resurrection thou. King of glory, soul of bliss, everlasting life is this. Thee to know, thy power to prove, thus to sing and thus to love. I'm sure you know the other one as we started singing that. I'd see if I can remember it. The other famous setting of that text. But we can't sing it just yet. In a couple weeks, just not yet. Next, this one really needs no introduction whatsoever. Love divine, all loves excelling. We're going to do this a little bit interesting today. I have with me the wrong page in my hymnal. It was to the right page. Here it is. I have with me my United Methodist hymnal right here. So we're going to do this hymn in two different forms because the Methodists, the version we have is not the way it appears in the Methodist hymnal. And I was told that very clearly by a Methodist minister once upon a time that preached at Zion. So here we have Love Divine, All Loves Excelling. And other than Charles' Easter and Christmas hymns, this is probably the best known of his hymns. It is sung across the world and across faiths and denominations, and you have it. There is some theological funness in here, but it's okay. We work past that. So the way that Wesley would have saw it and the way that we in the ELCA see it are two different things. But hey, it's cool. We oversee those differences and we work together for the common good, and that's for peace and joy. Where do we go? Which hand is which? Peace and joy, right behind me, right here. That's what we work for, no matter who we are, no matter what our name is, no matter what our description. Peace and joy and love. That's what it's all about. So we're going to do the first two verses in the way that we know it. And then I will do in the Methodist version the verses 3 and 4 with their melody that they know it by. So here we have Love Divine, All Loves Excelling. Love divine, all loves excelling, joy of heaven to earth come down, fix in us thy humble dwelling, all thy faithful mercies crown. Jesus, thou art all compassion, pure unbounded love thou art. Visit us with thy salvation, enter every trembling heart. Breathe, oh breathe thy loving spirit into every troubled breast. Let us all in thee inherit. Let us find thy promised rest. Take away the love of sinning, Alpha and Omega be, end of faith as its beginning, glory hearts at liberty. Come, Almighty, to deliver, let us all thy life receive. Suddenly return and evermore thy temples leave. Thee we would be always blessing, serve thee as thy horse above, pray and praise thee without ceasing, glory in thy perfect love. Finish then thy new creation, pure and spotless let us be. Let us see thy great salvation, perfectly restored in thee, changed from glory into glory, till in heaven we take our place, till we cast our crowns before thee, lost in wonder, love, and praise. Love divine, all loves excelling, joy of heaven to earth come down, fix in us thy humble dwelling, all thy faithful mercies crown. Jesus, thou art all compassion, pure unbounded love thou art. Visit us with thy salvation, enter every trembling heart. There you have it. Two different ways of singing Love Divine, All Loves Excelling. I kind of like the way that the Methodists sing it. It's a little bit more cheery, but I also know it that the other way with Hifredal, the Welsh tune to which we know it. Hopefully you enjoyed that little ditty, little something different. Interestingly enough, so we have a minister that serves as the head of Crossways Camping Ministry. She is an ordained not Episcopalian. I apologize, Sharon. A Methodist minister who serves now in the ELCA at as Crossways Camping Ministries head. And she's a wonderful, wonderful person. She's so much fun to talk to. And we learned a little something from her. In Methodism, you know, in the Lutheran Church, we have what constitutes a service. In order for it to be a Eucharistic service, we have to have the Eucharist. Otherwise, it's just a service when it really boils down to it. In Methodism, it isn't about liturgy, it isn't about preaching, it isn't about the Word of God. The only thing that the Wesleys this is from the Wesleys, the only thing that would constitute it to actually make it a service that has to be done in order for it, every time you meet, something that has to be done, an offering has to be taken. It's the only thing to make it, like this legal gathering. Weird. Methodists are weird. I'm kidding. We love them all. So here we have our final hymn. Another great text from Charles Wesley. This is a hymn that was to be sung in times of tumult. So the Methodists suffered a lot of persecution because it was not supposed to be a break from the Episcopalian Church. Where have we heard that idea from? Oh, wait, Martin Luther was not supposed to break from the larger Catholic Church. He just wanted to discuss some changes, some reforms. So the Wesleys didn't want to break from the Episcopalian Church. They just saw themselves working within the church, doing some reforming, doing some revitalization. But that led to persecution. Like, ministers would call them out in the pulpit. Hymns would be written about them. Publications would be printed about them and the things that they were doing. And so Charles Wesley writes this hymn for hymns in time of trouble and persecution. And we have it in our hymnal. But we don't have the good stuff, those extra verses. It had originally 6 stanzas, which we omit the second and third because those really speak to the attacks that were being lodged against the Methodists and the people in the Methodist movement. So we've removed those from the ELW and kept everything else because it's such a great text. So here we have You Servants of God, number 825 in our hymnal. Joyful way to end this sunny Thursday afternoon. I hope that you've enjoyed putting our feet into the waters of Methodism a little bit. Well, their music, I guess. We're not really into Methodists, but they're pretty cool people. I've played for the church in Green Bay, and they're pretty neat. They do things a little bit differently than us really awesome ELCA Lutherans, but that's okay because we all believe in one true God, as Martin Luther wrote with the Nicene Creed. So I hope that you have a great week, that this music has touched you a little bit and lifted your spirits. We're moving ever closer to Easter, and day by day it gets a little bit nearer and nearer, and spring is coming, and yet we know Mother Nature is going to turn the corner and be like, haha, just kidding. But I'm glad that you are all safe and happy and healthy, and that you have allowed me into your homes to sing for you and with you, and hopefully you learned a little bit of something too. So we'll see you next week with a theme that has TBA, to be TBD, to be determined. So we'll see you in a week, well, Sunday. We'll see you Sunday morning, and then again next week as we take a look at some more music. So have a wonderful week, and God bless, friends. Bye-bye.